Freitae Effect.
Woo!
I am your co-host, Asa Freitae.
I am your other co-host, Simon Freitae.
Simon Freitae.
Asa Freitae.
Hey. Well, right. So it feels like the beginning of Out of the Box right now.
Into the box.
If you were 90s kids, you know. Wait, what?
I don't know. I missed Into the Woods and Into the Box. I don't
Into
know.
the box.
Into the box.
Your grandmother's house.
We're here.
Anyway. So Simon, you want to tell them who we are, what we're about, what's going on, what's popping?
Oh my gosh. So I am, as I said, Simon Freitae. Azab is Azab Freitae. We are the Freitae Effect.
Yes, we
The
is.
Freitae Effect is a podcast about us, two Ethiopian American siblings that are just trying to keep it real as we navigate adulthood and share things that affect our communities. We are doing things. We are hot. We are cold. We are humans. So, what else you want to say? Because I am sweating under this blanket, but it's fine for the sound quality, baby.
Y'all, I really hope that this makes a difference for y'all. So, in course, I just want to do a recap of what our last episode was about. This is our final episode of the first part of our five-part series, Insecurities. So, our last episode 3 of this season, was about fat shaming and what factors lead to fat shaming. Not to fat shaming, oh my god. And what factors lead to weight gain. Jesus Christ. Or being able to manage a healthy weight, like having access to nutritious food, stress, not like seeing healthy habits as you were growing up, and much more. So if you want to know more, you can go back and listen to that episode wherever you be listening. But there was one thing I just wanted to follow up with, and it was a post from Kenzie Brenna, who is a body positivity activist that I follow on Instagram. And I just wanted to follow up with this because I was talking about how girls bond over being insecure about their weight. And conveniently enough, as soon as after we recorded that episode, I found this post and I was like, haha, how relevant.
Wow.
And so in this post, she got from somebody else, and it says, I always hate when girls say, but I'm fat. And then I automatically reply with, no, you aren't, because that isn't what I want to say. What I want to say is a century ago, you would have been a goddess. What I want to say is you're a goddess now. What I want to say is society stole that word from you. What I want to say is, so what? Fat doesn't mean ugly. Fat is not a bad word. You are not fat. I am fat. Oh, my bad. You are fat. I am fat. And we are beautiful. Yes. What I want to say is fat and ugly are not synonymous. What I want to say is, my God, if you are fat, be fat, but fall in love with yourself at the same time, because you are much more than weight, and weight has never been everything.
Yes.
But I always say, no, you aren't. And they always know I'm lying. And then so in the follow-up of that, she said as the comment, as the caption for the post, this is everything. My favorite part, my God, if you're fat, be fat, but fall in love with yourself at the same time because you are so much more than weight, and weight has never been everything, is so beautiful, and I hope you feel it. And I just love that, and I love her, and I'm just so glad that I stumbled upon that, and I hope that you found value in that, because you don't need to be skinny or a certain kind of weight to be happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you could be skinny and sad, or fat and happy. It's all about what's inside.
Factos.
Yes.
So before we get into this week's topic, I just wanted to start with any announcements.
I would like to announce that we are extremely grateful for everyone that came to our 1-year anniversary live show. It was so fun to connect with all of you, and honestly, we're just so... just so touched that we're still able to host something that was safe and entertaining during this pandemic.
Amen. Yeah, so thanks guys for popping out and having fun with us, and there will be more in the future.
Definitely. And hopefully we can actually see you face to face. To face to face to face to face.
Yeah. Whatever that looks like. So this week's topic is about grieving and coping mechanisms. Yes. So it's interesting because we're recording this during Memorial Day weekend, and we have lived through a lot of various definitions of what grief is this year. And so have you. But for us personally, in our family, we've dealt with 2 really heavy losses, one before COVID and one during COVID. And it was just interesting to experience what it was like to grieve, how we do traditionally, before all of this, and then experiencing grieving and loss during this. even though both of those losses were non-COVID related, it still was, prevalent. And so, while we're in this time where we're hearing about people dying on the news every day from coronavirus and like from other things, this year didn't really start off that great, obviously. We lost role models like Kobe Bryant in a tragic accident. People have been losing their jobs. And we haven't been able to live like our quote unquote normal lives. And we've been stripped of being able to our main coping mechanism, which is seeing each other, right? And having social activities that distract us from these kinds of things. So we wanted to give you ways to find support and understanding of how to manage this collective trauma that we're all experiencing together. But before we get real heavy, we gonna get into
how the turns have tabled. Yeah. So if this is your first time on the show, I'm just gonna say it real quick one more time, and another time on every single episode from here on. Basically, how the turns have tabled, little plot twist section, stories from our lives, little tidbits that are super related to the episode, or just kinda. But this one is about my little Bungorf. So, yes.
What is a Bungorf?
So, a Bungorf. Honestly, I don't know if it's even a real word, but I was, to give you context, I was a little boy, and we were in Florida, and I had recently watched the episode of Teen Titans when they temporarily adopted an alien bug, and the character Starfire called the bug her little Bungorf, and I just fucking loved it. So
that was a good time. First of all, we're talking about Teen Titans when it was Teen Titans, and not
Teen
whatever
Titans
the hell it is now. Yeah.
But yeah,
because like back when they were allowed to be like dark,
and it was just so much better.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn. But
Cartoon Network, you eased up on us because political incorrectness. But in the real world, out of the cartoons, we were in Florida, and I saw this bug that looked just like they called it Silky, but again, Starfire called it her little Bungorf, so I just kept it with me as long as I could, and I was like, my little Bungorf, he's so cute, and I was just, a little bug weirdo, but it's fine, because I was 8, and I deserve friends. Also, my parents told me I had to stop playing with the stray cats, and this bug couldn't hurt me. So after a few days, my dad said I couldn't have the bug anymore, and that we had to leave him, and he had to have a whole free life and all this naturalist stuff. And like, this was the exact same reasoning why I couldn't keep my first turtle. So I gave up and I put the bug outside, and I was like, whatever, he's gone, goodbye my little Bungorf. And then wait, why couldn't you keep him?
Dad just thought that we were, like, ruining this bug's life by having it inside with us.
Such a naturalist.
Yep.
But I'm not mad.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense
right
now. But, so, this is the big plot twist, how the turns table. Within an hour of this bug being outside, I went outside to go do something, and I fucking stepped on him.
No!
And then I just looked down and I screamed, my little Bungorf! And I cried my fucking eyes out. Oh, God. And then even worse, I cried about this little bug. There's no consequences. Like, it's like there's just this little thing that I've grown attached to that no one even knows about. But in Florida, they have a state law that if you bring home sand dollars, then it's like super illegal, since sand dollars are like a living creature at the beach. And I deadass brought like 10 sand dollars home in my bathing suit that year, which all fucking died. And it's like, we could have been heavily fined for each one of those, but I was freaking out about my little Bungorf. Yeah. So
well, damn.
Them be how the turns table.
Well, the turns have tables.
R.I.P. little Bungie. Hello, you.
Well, y'all, let's take a break.
Take a break.
Hi, friends.
First, we just want to thank everyone who's made a donation to support the show through the various platforms like Patreon or by attending our events.
Running a podcast costs money because, as we say often,
this shit ain't free!
So here's what your dollars go to when you make a financial contribution to us.
Production costs. I edit every episode, and when you make a donation, it goes towards paying for reliable editing software, so we don't lose our audio files.
Streaming. It costs $18 a month to keep our episodes available for you to listen wherever you hear us.
No matter what donation amount, these are just a few of the ways we've seen how our patrons are able to make a positive impact on the show.
See what exclusive access you can get to our content by becoming a monthly donor through Patreon or PayPal. You can go to patreon.com/The Freitae Effect, and
you can find the PayPal link in any of our episode descriptions or in our Instagram bio. All right, let's get back to the show. And we're back, bitches. Hey.
Hey, we're back. So, anyways, we're going to get into our main topic. Yeah. No, it was funny because I remember, I mean, it's really, nothing is funny about this. But, when I, like, got my first, like, real life job, and they were like, here's your life insurance, here's your health insurance, here's, like, what happens if you die, your beneficiary stuff. And I was like, oh, so I should, like, really actually think about this shit. And then I was getting really existential, as I usually do. And I was like, I should hit up Jafar and start getting my will going. So Jafar's my friend who was, like, in law school. He also graduated and now is a certified lawyer. Claps for you, homie. But, like, for real, we need to, like, make this happen because, like, I want to, like, put my shit in order. And it was interesting because in my business law class, they were like, yeah, you should have a will drafted as early as 18, you know, just in case. And I was like, oh, that's casual. That's chill. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyways, just want to drop that spit of knowledge for y'all.
It's true, though, because it's like, how else are you going to be, you know, like, how else are people going to know what you want after you're not able to say it? You know, like, it's just, it's something no one wants to think about, but it's a really prominent fact in your life.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like, as you say, like, oh, yeah, this is how I want to be memorialized. You have no control over that when you're dead, you know? And it's like, yes, people have to respect the dead and respect, like, your wishes. But if they don't, that's likely to happen, you know, because you're not there to, like, stop anyone from respecting your wishes unless you haunt them in the afterlife. But that's something else for another day and another story and another time. So as we speak about being memorialized, you know, grieving doesn't always have to be seen as something sad. You know, it's a way of processing, right? And there are multiple different things you could be grieving. I think in the traditional sense of when we think of grief, we think of when somebody passes away. And some popular ways that I've seen people grieve or remember someone is by, like, hosting, like, an annual basketball tournament, like, in their name, or doing a balloon release, which is actually really bad for the environment. So, like, guys, figure something else out. But I think it's an important conversation to have of, like, what do you want to happen when you're not here?
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
So, Simon, do you know what you want for yourself or no? Because you don't have to know right now. It's kind of morbid and a lot. But, like, I mean, if you do, like...
I don't. I know with our family and our culture, we don't really do cremation. So I imagine that I'm going to be in a casket and that's going to, you know, we're going to have a big ass funeral and everyone's going to be, like, lit at the party afterwards. But yeah, the funeral is probably going to be wicked sad. But other than that, I really don't have any, like, plans. I'm not really connected to all my material things, so everything could just burn in a fucking fire other than myself. But I don't know. I really like your idea, though, so I want you to share it.
Oh, yeah. So I was inspired by another podcast host. Her name's Hey Fran Hey, on the Friend Zone, and she was talking about being turned into a tree. And I was like, I love that. Like, you know, like, having it be something that's not, like, well, first of all, something that's, like, giving back to the earth and producing oxygen and, like, becoming one with the earth, like, after you are gone, and not being trapped in a coffin. Like, I just don't like the idea of my body being trapped in a coffin. And, like, you know, I want people to have, like, a picnic, like, by my tree, and make it, like, something that's, like, nice, you know, rather than whatever. And I really like how in other cultures, like, for example, in New Orleans, they have, like, a, like, funeral parade, you know, and they, like, have live jazz blasting through the streets, and it's, like, a celebration of life instead of everybody just being super fucking sad. Yeah. You know? And while I'm totally a fan of being super sad and being in your feelings, like, I don't want to be connected to that kind of a memory for you. I don't want you to be like, oh my God, like, every time you say my name. Like, I'd rather you be like, oh my God, yeah, like, just joy and greatness every single time.
Yeah, because I feel like there's time for you to process that, like, sadness and feel those feelings, and then there's also time to remember the good parts, because it's not always just remembering the loss that you have. It's also remembering those great things that, even though you might never have it again, you still had it. Like, you know, it's like this person was with you, this thing was with you, and it gave you all these great things that you're able to use and stay with you as you keep building yourself.
And especially from, like, you know, as we said, we are Ethiopian, we're also American, and we are growing up in America and, like, witnessing how we grieve culturally different for both. So I just wanted to give some perspective of, like, how Ethiopian traditions. So, you know, for Ethiopians, when we grieve, it's a very extremely extended sorrow. There's a whole process where the main family who's experiencing grief or loss is expected to host people to come to their homes, and it's called a Luxo Beit, which means like a grieving house. And basically, like, the whole community finds out, everyone brings food and drinks to provide for the family, and people are expected to just come and be with the main family who's experiencing this loss. And this happens for a while. Like, priests come in and rotate shifts and say prayers, and they're just with you, you know? And then when main members of the family pull up, when they hear the news to show their condolences, they're expected to have big reactions, like hitting their chest and screaming and crying and making a scene, you know? And people who come from far away are also expected to have the same kind of a reaction, you know? And that's a lot. That's a lot to carry. It's heavy and it's traumatic as fuck. Yep. But it's, like, also a way of them to show how much they loved that person and how much they miss that person.
Also, I feel like it's a good way to just let it all out.
Yeah. And,
like, if you're sitting there being like, I have to be strong, I have to hold this in, and then you see this person that you know was, like, their sister, their cousin, their aunt come in and they just lose it all, then it can trigger that emotion for you to help you feel things.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, whenever I go to a Luxo, it just reminds me of every single person I know that has died in my life. Yeah. And then I start crying about them. And it's like, not only am I crying about this person right now, but I'm also thinking about everybody else I've lost, you know? But also, like, there are people who process shit differently and don't cry, you know? And that's fine, too. But the thing is, if you, like, it's also very frowned upon. So, yeah, like, it was interesting because I was watching this movie called The Farewell by Awkwafina, who, again, I know is canceled, but, like, whatever. I watched it with my friend David Rodriguez, who's in episode 3, which is the 4th of July episode. You can go back and listen. And in the movie, they hired professional criers to mourn the loss of somebody who passed away. And I was, like, talking to him about it, and I was like, yo, like, what does your culture do? Because he's Colombian. And so he was like, yeah, it's, like, the same thing, honestly. And I was like, yeah, like, I know that we do that, too. So it was cool to, like, hear that other cultures also have these very, like, elongated, dramatic ways of grieving. And that it's similar, you know? Whereas most people just normalize American funerals. And because we see them so much in movies that we think that that's how everybody grieves, you know?
Well, I was just thinking about how, like, we keep calling it, like, dramatic. Like, you know, it's like, would it be considered really dramatic to the people who this is their culture? Like, you know, is it because we've grown up, like you said, watching these funerals in the American way, where it's just like, you hold it together, maybe you quietly cry to yourself, and you stand there, and maybe someone comes and starts rubbing your shoulder, and then you're like, I don't want to look at them because they're crying, and I'm going to start crying too. Instead of the extreme opposite of you come into a room and everyone starts screaming, crying.
And like, that's overwhelming, yo.
It is. Yeah.
But I think also with, like, when you think about how Americans grieve, obviously it's like when mom says it, she's always like, oh, like, you know, it all happens so fast and it's quick and we don't have to feel like we're just dragging on this feeling of, like, sadness, you know? And that's what she said she likes about it. but also it's like a way of like, you don't get time to process.
Yeah.
Everything happens so fast. It's like straight to business. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, we got to bury the body. We got to like whatever, you know, and then we got to see a bunch of people we haven't seen in years.
Yep.
And like, they're only here for one day and you don't really get to connect with them because you're just crying about the person who died.
And everyone from like this other part of the fucking country has to be here within a week.
Right.
Like, you know, it's like
stressful
you have to put
as
your
hell.
whole life on hold to like figure this the fuck out for this one day of the funeral to grieve and then just go back to work.
And that's also just
like,
not realistic. Like, that's not realistic at all for anyone. And then you feel like shit for the rest of your life for not being able to have been able to make it. Or like the next time you see that person, you just say, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. And it doesn't carry the same weight as like what you probably wanted to say, you know?
Yeah.
It's like America doesn't give you the chance to even properly grieve, you know?
That's true.
And then other like traditions that follow is that at least in Ethiopian culture, you know, you have a memorial after 40 days. You have a memorial after 60 days. You remember them after a year. And you do this, and then you like every year for 7 years, you feed people under their name. Some families do it for longer. They do it for 14 years. Some people do it for the rest of their life. It's really up to the family and up to you and like how you feel of what makes sense for grieving whoever you lost. But one thing that I found on this Instagram page called That Good Grief was this post that I really liked with a trauma avocado. And it's called Trauma Recovery as Illustrated by an Avocado. And so if you know what an avocado looks like and you cut one in half, you know, obviously the outer peel resembles what people see on the outside. Often some bumps, but otherwise it's fine. On the inside, there's some squishy goo, and that represents your feelings, and it's all the feelings. So that could be mental health symptoms, somatic symptoms, triggers, disassociation, etc. And then the pit, the avocado seed, represents traumatic memories and beliefs about yourself or the world that's based on trauma and shame. And so on the next slide, it kind of breaks it down again and says like the outside is the part you share with the outside world. The squishy part is the part that you share with your support network, friends and family for emotional support and growth. And then the pit is the part you share in a safe therapeutic environment for recovery. And so like I just really liked how they broke that down.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, and I really liked in the caption how they shared like, let me be very clear, like they're not suggesting that recovery is from grief, but that there are moments within loss that are traumatic and that maybe you saw or heard, and that for them there are a few moments from there are a few moments that can like send them spiraling, but they're intentionally working through it, and that grief stays with you and you can carry it in your heart healthfully, but recognizing trauma, you know, it does not serve you and you deserve to work through it in the right supportive environment, you know? And so like, as I mentioned earlier, we are all going through a collective trauma with this pandemic, and it's important for us to all recognize that and to really go through the stages of grief.
Yep.
You know? Because people are losing experiences. People are losing abilities to do things.
Yeah, like even the biggest thing that I've been thinking of recently, because it's graduation season, like all of these 2020 graduates that are not able to experience that, to have their families watch them like either cross the stage, have their name called, or even just going for the ceremony in general, like that's a big fucking deal. Because if you're the first person to go to college in your family, if it's like, you know, people have like bought plane tickets from like around the world to like, we were gonna go down to Texas to see our cousin Nancy, and that was, you know, it's like a lot, like their family members have had, like she had her sister go to college before, so it wasn't like as insane. Like it's obviously a great thing when anyone fucking graduates college because it's so fucking hard to do it, and good for y'all. But like when she was doing it, we were gonna fly down to Texas and that got canceled. So we decided, instead of losing that entire experience, we made a video of what it would have been like. So that, you know, we accept...
that was a way of us processing it.
Like, accepting the loss while still being able to move forward. Like, that's at least the biggest thing that I've been picking up from how to deal with grief. Like, really accepting it and not dwelling in it. because that doesn't actually fucking help. And the things you lose, yes, they're gone, but it doesn't mean you can't gain anything else.
Yeah.
But did you have more you wanted to say about like the trauma that we are all experiencing together right now? Stay strong, y'all.
No, that's pretty much it. Let's get into the article.
Liddy titty. So, I found an article called Coping with Grief and Loss from helpguide.org by Melinda Smith, Lawrence Robinson, and Jean Segal. So, basically, this article is tips for healthy management of grief. It talks about a lot of the things that we've mentioned in this episode so far about losing things and people in different ways. So breaking up with a significant other, ending a friendship, siblings moving away, grieving about parts of yourself, like how you grow, change, and evolve. Was that something you wrote?
Yes.
Oh, go Azeb, because I was gonna say I didn't recognize this. Yes. And one thing that I thought of was, you know, people say you never appreciate what you have till it's gone, and that really is just, you know, until you're grieving it, you don't really see like how much it meant to you. Like, it can feel it, and you can, you know, you might recognize it at points, but like when it's really gone, that's when all those feelings hit. And this doesn't mean that you're now incomplete because you've experienced this loss. It just, again, shows you the value of what you were able to have and what you're most likely to have, again, with other people.
It's kind of like when people are like, oh my God, I'm lost without you. I can't live without you, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, you literally did not lose a piece of yourself. You know, you just lost a version of yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
And like a part of your identity, your ego, whatever, is gone. It's never coming back. The world has always been changing, and you will never stay the same. So accept the change. Such as these artists that we've loved growing up doing fucked up shit throughout the years.
I know. Yeah. Like seeing people like Bill Cosby fuck up as bad as he did. Yeah. Or currently, Lana Del Rey is fucking up hard. But also, why are you surprised? Because Homegirl, like, what's it called? Fantasizes over a 50s aesthetic, which is like the most like racist historical time of
super misogynistic,
yeah. like fucking everything. And like, why are you surprised? Kanye, needless to say, there it is.
Enough said.
But the thing is like, there's a thing called separating the art from the artist, and I'm not encouraging people to be like, yeah, I'm gonna continue streaming their stuff and buying tickets to go to their concerts because I support them to spread the message of the shitty things that they say. But I mean, like, if you want to listen to a Kanye song, or you want to listen to Summertime Sadness, or you want to watch the Huxtables, you can still do that. And you don't have to explain to everybody or to like yourself why you want to enjoy this entertainment.
Yeah.
Because it's quality shit. Because you know that you're not a shitty person for liking the things that they created because it's good shit.
Yeah, and you're a human being with nostalgia, so
Facts.
That's, you know.
I mean, for me, like, it was hard for me to deal with that because, you know, like, at least with Kanye, like, I'm a hardcore Kanye fan, and I couldn't even wear, like, my St. Pablo sweater anymore because I was like, dude, I can't have I can't walk around and people think I support him.
Yep.
You know? And it's just sad, so I, like, had to give it away, right? But am I gonna listen to 808 and Heartbreak? Fuck yeah, I am. But, like, you know, I'm not out here saying, yeah, blacks should have said no to slavery. Like, are you kidding me? Obviously not. You know?
Fucking
but yeah, like, y'all, we can separate the art from the artist. Just grow up. Come
and
on,
then I guess another thing that I wanted to mention was I guess the complexities of grief, like how losing a job, for example, like that was a thing that I've experienced this past year. And you know, financial security is gone. The coworkers that you've been like creating this bond with, unless you stay in touch afterwards, like they're pretty much out of your life. And it's like, it's a really hard thing to deal with, like going back and like feeling like you've made this progress and then grieving what you've lost. But you need to be able to see, hey, I made progress, I got there, and it didn't work, and I'm moving forward. Like, it's not always, this happened, and now I'm done. It's like, no, yes, and bitches. Acting, improvise, keep moving forward, because life doesn't just fucking end. The world is still spinning, and you are still on this giant fucking rock that is hurtling through space, going around. You're a skeleton with meat bags. But this article, to get more into the specific meat and bones of the article, they also talk about the process. So there's no measure of time for the grieving process. There's no way for you to say, oh, yeah, you broke up with your boyfriend, that's going to take a year. You lost your mom, that's going to take 15 years. Like, this isn't some just shit that you can do math for. Like, the healing process is dependent on the individual. So be patient with yourself, because this is not something you can rush. And your body will fucking tell you. Also, how you grieve depends on many factors, including your personality, your coping style, your life experience, your faith, and how significant this loss was to you. The article also goes on to some mythbusters to support healthy grieving tactics. So it's saying not just staying strong and like putting on a brave face, but facing your grief head on and feeling your feelings.
Feel your feelings.
As well as the fact that moving on from something does not mean that you've forgotten it. It just means, like we've mentioned before, you've accepted the loss. So I like something my dad always said growing up, like, you know, people say forgive and forget, but my dad says forgive, but don't forget. And it's like, you can end a relationship, you can forgive someone, but you don't forget what happened.
No.
Like, you're always moving forward because you don't want to feel that pain anymore.
Exactly.
You can lose someone. You could kill your fucking bungorf, and you have to forgive yourself, and then remember, like, that you put him on the front step. But anyways, so there are 5 stages of grief mentioned in the article.
Simon's going through all of them at the same time right now.
All of them, I miss them. My little bungie. Okay, so the 5 stages of grief are, in no particular order, but usually in this one, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. You don't have to go through every single fucking stage in this order, but because the process is unique to the individual situation, and you might go through multiple stages at once. So you might be angry and depressed and in denial
at the same time.
Yep, but you just gotta get to acceptance, and then you could accept things and still be fucking angry.
Yep.
So
or depressed.
Yep.
Or in denial.
Oh yeah, you can accept your denial, but you have to be able to also recognize this grief. So there are symptoms, emotional symptoms such as shock, disbelief, guilt, again, anger, fear, and then there's physical symptoms. So it's not just your emotions that are impacted by grief, you are physically impacted. Like your brain, your chemicals, everything's going on. So physically, you might feel fatigued, nausea, lowered immune system might happen. Like you might get sick, weight loss or weight gain, insomnia, aches and pains around the body. So it's literally your body fighting for the will to live after you experience such a tragic event.
And it's kind of like when people die and people say like, she's bringing me into the grave with her. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, because you physically feel like you're literally dying too, because that's how much you love that person.
And know? Like there was a musical that UNH did a few years back called Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. And, you know, Andrew Jackson's a horrible person, and he was doing fucking horrible things to the Native Americans. So his wife in the musical died of a broken heart because he was such a dick.
That's real, though. People do actually die of a broken heart.
Yep.
That's possible.
And
that's why I'm saying, like, the way that we experience grief culturally, it's like, so, like, imagine screaming and crying every single day. Every single day. Like, you could literally die from the way that we choose to grieve. It's like not okay.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I'm like, there needs to be a balance.
Yep.
Because like y'all, this is like y'all are gonna literally kill yourself. So like let's be careful, okay?
Yeah, because suicide's real as fuck, and like it's not something that you can just push away until it, you know, it's in your face, because then it's too far. So before anything gets too far, we gotta seek support.
Get
the
help.
key is not self-isolation. We need friends. We need family. We need biddies, cows, bungorfs. So we gotta lean on the biddies that we care about and that we trust. Lean on biddies when you're not strong. Accept assistance, even if you're more of a self-sufficient person, because you need help.
Yep.
And grief hits in weird ways, and it's always better to be prepared. Better be safe than sorry, because if you're really sorry, you're going to do some sorry, sad things, and it's going to make bad things happen. So
bad things happen to good people.
Yeah. Also, remember that grief is weird, and we don't know what we're doing a lot of the time. So
and a lot of people that you don't normally talk to are gonna reach out to you, and you're gonna be like, "Get the fuck away from me."
Yeah, it might be awkward.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and it triggers a lot of different kinds of feelings. Just try to be open-minded when people are trying to support you throughout difficult times, because they're doing their best as well as you are.
Yeah.
So
at the end of the day, most of the time, people are just trying to have a good heart and trying. Like people are just kind of trying.
And they want to connect,
and they just want to like put their shit to the side to actually like show that they care, even though it might be a fucked up way of them trying to show that they care.
Yeah.
But also, you're going through shit. So if you're going through shit, you do not have to fucking forgive anybody.
Yep.
You really don't. Ever.
You got to be you.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
So hold it down for you, even if people are trying to pressure you into forgiving other people while you're fucking grieving a loss.
Oh, yeah. No, stay true to yourself. Remember what got you there, and then why you are who you are, because with that comes...
Yep, because people try to be making amends at the
strength.
wrong place and the wrong time.
Yep.
And
you got to be strong to yourself.
Yep.
And with that, it kind of reminds me of... We talked a little bit about this in the cults episode, about how people deal with death and loss. They turn to faith and they turn to religion. And this is another time when... this is another episode where I'm going to say, yeah, faith and religion might actually really be a big, crucial point to how you get through this. Like, if you follow a religion, prime time to give it up to God, or whatever you believe in.
Amen.
And if this grief is making you question your faith, then it's a great time for self-reflection, as well as looking to the community for support. Because, if you have questions, you can't answer them by yourself. Other people got to give you some answers, and then if you don't like them, try to find other ones. Like, it's not an end-all, be-all just because it's in your fucking network. Expand your network. Like, make things easier for yourself so that you're not constantly having a hard time. And the last thing that I want to throw in here is therapy and support groups.
As always.
Always. When I left my last job, it was a really hard time for me. And the way that I got through it was reaching out to my own personal, just my doctor, and being like, so I need some therapy. And she was like, hey, there's a coping and healing group, since therapy has a 3-month waiting period. Because sometimes that shit happens. When you need help, sometimes your resources aren't there immediately, but there are other resources there for you that you might not have been looking for. So I found this coping and healing group with Ann Koplow, the best fucking social worker on earth, and it helped me transition out of my position, as well as building trust in a group of people that I don't know, that are experiencing really similar feelings of despair and loneliness. Like, it's just such a raw time to be human, and to go into a group of, a place that you don't really go to, like enter a whole new space with unfamiliar faces and just really rip your heart open. That's hard. It's really fucking rough. But when you see 5 other people doing it, whether they're 60, 28, like, it's just like any age range, when you're not alone going through shit, it's always better for you.
Yeah.
So, group therapy. Individual therapy is also awesome because you get techniques that help you face your feelings that are specific to your current situation.
Yep.
Some great things I've received from both group and individual therapy has been a variety of different readings and workbooks, as well as different kinds of groups to look into to help integrate these coping mechanisms into my own life.
Yep.
Which has been, it's hard to try to go join a new group and do things like that during, like, a pandemic, which is exactly around the time.
But actually, you could, there's a lot of therapy services that are available right now, or just, like, during this pandemic, because people are obviously looking for that kind of help, and because people have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So, go check out your health insurance. I know Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's free therapy right now. Or they're paying for, like, the copay. So you should look into your health plan if you have one. In Massachusetts, you're obliged to have one against the law. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying for myself, I prefer to do the face-to-face, and, like, there was so many good groups that was suggested to me for, like, the other people in my group that have been like, oh, well, I go to this one, I go to this one, I go to that one, and then it was like, I can't go outside.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there are definitely also great resources, so that's a good tidbit, Azib.
Yeah.
And then the article goes on to talk more about taking care of yourself and how grief, if it doesn't go away, then what it might mean to you, like more complicated grief. So if you're interested in learning more about this, I suggest clicking on the link in our episode description. Otherwise, Azeb, you got anything?
Nope. I say let's take a break.
Dad jokes! Notes and quotes! Dad jokes! Notes and quotes! Dad jokes! Dad jokes! Notes and quotes! By Scott Freitae.
So there's an old guy with his friend, and he's in the living room, and his wife and the other guy's wife is in the other living room, and he says, you know, I went to this restaurant, I had the best steak in my life. And the guy says, what was it called? And he says, you know, it's like a flower. And the guy goes, a tulip? And he goes, no, like the red flower that you give people when you want to celebrate something. And he goes, a rose? And he goes, yeah. Hey, Rose, what was the name of that restaurant we went to last week? I love the fact that you guys don't get that one.
Oh, I get
Wait,
it.
I
Nope.
missed the
It's the name of his wife.
Okay, wait.
He was trying to...
He wanted to remember the name of his wife. Okay, you know the difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull? Lipstick. I love it. I love the fact that you don't love it. What happens when two snails get in a fight? They slug it out.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Okay, this is going to be my last one. Okay, this is an Ethiopian joke made into English. The first rich guy in Ethiopia who got a car was backing it into his garage. And he told his servant, tell me when I'm going to hit the wall. And the servant goes, okay. So he's backing up and he keeps waving him. And he keeps waving him. And then slam, he smashes in the wall. He goes, you hit it.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay.
I like the translation.
It's time to take the keys.
Key takeaways.
Take my goddamn keys.
Take 'em.
All right,
Take 'em
so
away.
key number 1. I know we didn't really mention this, but I just wanted to say, tell people how much you love them now, because you never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you don't reach out enough or you don't want to regret it, then start doing it. Show up for those people in the ways that you can without overstepping your own boundaries for your self-care. If you're naturally an empathetic, compassionate, caregiving person, then it's going to be natural for you to feel guilty, but you probably did more than you think, so don't carry all of that weight on you.
Mm-hmm.
Key number 2, it's okay to feel relief when someone passes away if you witness them suffer.
Yeah.
And my last key, we all grieve differently, so just because someone isn't bawling their eyes out every day or isn't visibly showing that they're grieving does not mean that they are not grieving. It is okay to take space and time to process, address your feelings, and take care of yourself. Simon, your keys?
My keys. I think I got 2 keys, but there's some thick keys. They
Ooh,
thick.
we
They
got
thick.
some biggies.
So I got a big old key right here. There are a variety of ways that you can help yourself that we've mentioned here and that are listed in this coping with grief and loss article. But you need to want to do it. In social work school and UNH, I learned about this concept of self-determination, where the client has to want to change for change to happen, and that's that's just it. Like, being human, like, you literally have to want to change in order for you to change your life. So, if you are in a deep, 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 deep depression, it's real hard to recognize it. But, you know, just try one thing each day that makes your heart feel a little lighter and see where that takes you. Whether it's a nature walk, listening to happy music, screaming into a pillow, whatever. Just feel your feelings and trust that things will get better. Another big thing, trust people. So, I have this little mantra. I don't know everything. I admit it. I'm not perfect. I am human. It's something I say to myself on a daily basis when I fuck things up. And when you're grieving, you're so very emotionally vulnerable. So it's really hard to move on and not just dwell on these kinds of thoughts of, I need to know everything, I need to be perfect, I need to get everything right on the first try, where you don't. Like, you are a human being, so you can look to others for advice and support. Like, being alone is useful for short periods of time to reflect, but if your only coping mechanism is self-isolation, then you're not only avoiding your issues, you're also avoiding the good things in life. So, there are people in the world that love you, and they want you to be happy, and maybe it's not the end of the world if you challenge yourself, step out of your comfort zone, and go dancing, or whatever it is that doesn't sound enticing to you.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
No! Also, if you don't like it, then you fucking tried, and no one can take that away from you, and you learned something about yourself. See, you can learn things with other people. So then you never have to go dancing again, and maybe you host a book club or some shit. I don't know, but you gotta create your own community instead of separating from it. And that's my last key.
All right. Let's get into the sign-off.
Get
Be sure to like the episode.
Share with friends.
Follow us on social media.
Subscribe and comment on SoundCloud.
Follow us on Spotify.
Apple Podcasts.
Or wherever you stream us.
Email us or
comment on social media. Or leave a review with any feedback.
Affirmations.
Or topics that you want to hear on the show at
thefredaspect@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening.
And have a great rest of your week.
Shift's kiss.
Love you.
Bye.